want to keep hearing all about Abby Wren and Different is Dope? Well, good, because that's exactly what we're doing on episode 12 of Channeling Hallmark, the podcast where we talk about all the things that make us feel warm and fuzzy, like you feel when you're listening to a really good interview.
Wow.
We're your hosts, Dylan Cashbaugh
and Keetin Markey.
And today is going to be part 2 of our interview with Abby Wren. We're busy on a boat right now, doing boat things.
Boats.
Exactly. So we're going to leave this with you and get right into it, but we hope you enjoy the rest of this interview with Abby Wren.
Yeah, and this is one thing I want to ask you, because you were talking about the Hulk, and one of the most incredible things, and I know one of the first, my introduction to you was through your kind of self-transformations on social media. When did you start doing that, and how has that evolved? And how are you inspired when you sit down with a paintbrush, what am I going to paint myself like today? Tell me a little bit about that process.
Yes. So it really evolved over the years because I started actually working as a makeup artist behind the scenes. I never could have dreamed of putting myself on camera and filming myself. Actually, it was my worst nightmare because I'm just more of an introvert and I'm an artist. I just, I'm critical of everything I make. And so it was really hard for me to share myself, but it was really easy for me to share the models I was working on and put out, but look at her eyeliner, show my art through them. And so that all changed kind of when my hair fell out for the second time. It was in early, late 2018 when my hair started to fall out for the second time. And I was like, oh, here we go again. I had just met Wade and I had just had this big career moment of working at New York Fashion Week for the first time. And I was really, really nervous and stressed about the experience. They flew me to New York. I was working behind the scenes on all these gorgeous models, and my alopecia was starting to come back. I was losing hair in handfuls, and I was kind of freaking out. Well, a couple of weeks later, my hair got to the point where I could no longer hide it with my hair extensions or hats. And Wade and I were like, let's shave it off. And so we shaved it off. And it was during that time that I was kind of like, this is real. This is really what I'm going through again. I need to be vocal about it. Now I have Instagram, and now I have the ability to share this experience, through the ups and the downs. So I started talking about it more. And through that, I started building a little bit of community online. I kind of just was being vulnerable, and I didn't care what anyone else thought. It was kind of cathartic to just share what I was going through. And so I started making more videos on Instagram. And that was the first year that I did my 31 days of Halloween makeup. I must have been the Halloween of 2019. I was like, okay, I'm going to do the 31 days of makeup and go all out. And I'm going to try all these different really difficult to paint looks on myself. And I'm going to be the canvas and take photos of that artwork on me. And I suddenly had all this space. I had this room on my head to use. So rather than just doing a half skull or something simple that I was limited to when I had hair, I suddenly had all this room. So I started experimenting. I started using more body paint. I started painting all the looks up onto my head. And I painted a butterfly. For some reason, this look stands out to me. I painted a butterfly, and it was like a butterfly skull. And I created that because I was like, I'm emerging into this new side of myself, and I'm finding a lot of joy and fulfillment through this type of work. And also all of the reins were in my control now. I could choose what look I was making. And that was very different from working as a makeup artist behind the scenes, because normally you're given, a sheet, and you're given a call time, and you're given parameters, and maybe all you need is a winged eyeliner and a little powder on your model, and that's all they need. And for me, my creativity was bursting at the seams where I could paint on myself. There were no rules. So I was just going crazy. And it was around the time that I discovered TikTok. So I started making these videos, and it was just really healing and really fun. And people seemed to like them online. So I kept doing them, and here we are. So it's been obviously a long road, and I've changed styles over the years, but I still do that series every single year. And I'm really happy that it evolved that way, because it completely changed my life and changed the whole path of my career. I never in a million years, when I was studying to become a makeup artist, I didn't even know that was an option. It was a very linear path to becoming a makeup artist in the way that I was taught. And I had to kind of break those own rules on my own, you know? So
Absolutely.
yeah, it's been an evolution, but I really love the way it is now.
I know this is essentially asking you a Sophie's choice, but do you have like a favorite work that you've done, or even one that maybe just the journey to get to the end product was particularly exciting or noteworthy or anything?
Yes, I can think of two immediately. I created a look in 2020 that was like my first self-portrait, and it was a mess. It was like I had created these big drips coming down my neck and my chest, and it was in the middle of the pandemic. So I was in a weird mental headspace like we all were, and COVID was going around, so I painted on these little like COVID things, and then fortunately my dog, who was like my best friend, his name was Chance, a big German Shepherd. He was my best buddy. He passed away in 2020 unexpectedly, and so my heart was broken. I was like, that was my first real heartbreak, and so I was just like, I was feeling so much, and I ended up producing like I think some of my best work that year, because it just came from a place of needing the art. I just needed to get it out and onto something, and that canvas was my face. So I created this look there was like half of a skull, and there was different colored paint dripping all over me. And I think on some of my platforms, I still use that as my profile picture, because it feels like the most me look I've ever created. I really love that one. The most challenging one that I had a hard time with was actually this year. I partnered with the water company Liquid Death, and we did a really fun partnership, and I turned myself into their mascot, Murder Man, and it was so challenging. I did like 3 different versions of the look before the one I came up with, and it just like I had a vision and it wasn't working the way I wanted it to, so I like scrapped the look 3 different times, and then eventually ended up building like a paper body around my head and turned my head into like a muscle, and it was really challenging but really, really fun, and it ended up working out great, and we all loved it. But sometimes it's like that. The creative process is such a wild ride. You can think it's going one way, and then you mess it up, or you want to change it, and you have a different idea that takes you in a totally different place, and that's just part of the process.
Well, I feel like you inspire so many people. You inspire artists, you inspire people with alopecia, young, older, through your social media platform and through you just being you. But who inspires you?
So many different things inspire me. I would say overall, just in general, my number one inspiration is my husband, Wade. He is just the weirdest, most wild, crazy man I've ever met, and I am completely obsessed with him. But he has this just like, how do I describe it? He has this like appetite for life and for creativity specifically that is unlike anyone I've ever met. So I always, if I'm stuck or if I need a little bit more inspiration, I try to like think like him. I try to completely take myself out of any parameters and like think way outside the box, because he's really good at that. He's just organically, that's how he operates, and it always inspires me. And the coolest thing about him is that we get to like work together, like we get to collaborate on so many different projects in our work, and that is it's like the joy, truly the joy of my life. Yeah, so he inspires me, obviously. And then I really take inspiration from like 90s icons like Lisa Frank, who were playing with bold color. Yes, like she's iconic, and funny enough, from Tucson, Arizona.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Her whole factory was in Tucson. So she's amazing, and her use of just like blending colors and creating characters and animals. I love the natural world. I love nature. So the way that she involved characters like dolphins and aliens and tigers and stuff, I'm always inspired by her work. So that use of color, like aesthetically, is very inspirational for me.
Oh my God, I feel that. You're such a modern Lisa Frank. I was a Lisa Frank girly. I still have Lisa Frank things because I was obsessed as a child. Every school year, a new Lisa Frank folder. Do you know who Lisa Frank is?
I'm aware who she is, yeah.
it was us girlies obsessed. Okay. Back then, like, yeah, everything Lisa Frank, like the Trapper Keepers, the folders, notebooks, everything. Like her work was everything. And I even had like the eraser tops, like the little
Oh, I know
characters.
exactly what you're talking about.
Oh my gosh. I had the biggest fangirl moment. I think it was 2022 or 2023, but one of those years I did a Lisa Frank look and I painted myself into like a rainbow tiger, and she reposted it on TikTok, and I had a full-on panic attack, like so fangirling out, and I just couldn't believe it. But she's an icon. She's an icon.
Abby, I thought you were cool before, but you're very cool. Very cool.
Highlight of my career, really.
All right, maybe this is a little bit of a selfish question. As a husband and wife who are currently doing a creative project together, but you frequently do these really cool big creative projects with your husband. What is that like? Is it challenging? Is it exciting? Is it kind of all of those things?
Yes and yes. I don't know that it could not be challenging working with your spouse and your partner. It's like that's just part of it. Especially when you are both creatives in different ways. Like, yeah, it is. Simultaneously, like the biggest joy to be able to share that together. And also, yeah, we can definitely disagree. I think Wade and I, over the years, we've been together almost 8 years. So we have this like deep underlying respect for each other. And I think that is what holds it all together, because creatively we can have completely different visions or think that one person is being too rigid or I'm just like taking the lead or he's taking the lead. We always are able to come back to this like foundation of respect. And I think that, yeah, if you have that in a relationship of any kind, that's everything. As long as you know that and you hold that close above everything, whatever you're working on, truly at the end of the day, doesn't matter as much as that. So there have been many times where we work together seamlessly and it's great and it's perfect and it all comes together the way we're envisioning it. And sometimes we are on totally different pages and we have to like communicate through the whole thing to get on the same page. And that's just part of it. But luckily for me, my husband Wade is the most communicative person on the planet, like literally never stops talking. And so he's a master of over communication to the point where sometimes I'm like, okay, I got it. Like, I got it. We got this out. But he's really, really good about communicating through anything. So it always makes me feel seen and heard, and like I can speak my piece because he's gotten better at listening over the years too. It's always a give and take. But yeah, our creativity, we're really, really fortunate and lucky that it works well together. It always has. Like when we first met, we started creating together, and we went on this hike on Vancouver Island right after we met. It's a long story. We met in a crazy way, and one of our first adventures together was going on this like backpacking trip through Vancouver Island, and we ended up sleeping in this tree house in the middle of the forest, and we fell in love in that tree house. So it all went well, but we just started taking photos and videos of each other. We were kind of vlogging without intentionally planning it. We just started talking to camera, and we were just making each other feel silly and fun, and we just enjoyed working together. So I think that's a key part of it too. I think if you're best friends first, like the rest becomes easier because you have that underlying, like I said, respect and friendship. It's fun. It should be fun. If it's not fun, you shouldn't be doing it. It's got to be fun to do it in the long run. You know what I mean? Like I think to do anything for a long time, like your heart and soul has to be in it. So as long as you enjoy like that creative project, all of the other things that are like, minuscule little disagreements or like whatever comes up, it doesn't matter as much if you're just loving it most of the time,
I mean, I think it's really cool to kind of hear you talk about working with Wade. And I feel like it seems like sometimes through those creative projects, you really become closer together, and it does kind of become like a really amazing bonding experience, even if at times you want to strangle each other sometimes. But I guess
he never wants to strangle me.
Of course not.
Oh gosh, it's like, who are we kidding? Like it's hard. It's definitely hard working together because like you're two different people. It's hard being in a relationship, really. Like it is like we're all different people, but I think it really, going back to that friendship and that like underlying respect, like if you have that, it's worth it in the end to create something. Again, the magic of creating it, like that, it's the process is where all the magic is. And if you guys are like unlocking that together, it is so special. And most people could never do that because they do want to strangle each other, but like if you have a shared love, like you guys are the cozy king and queen, like you know what I mean? You guys are immediately in coming into your home, the times I have, like it is so cozy. You guys have created this world that you share together, and you both share that love. You both have the same energy with that. Like it's really special and really rad. So I think it's rare that couples have that and then are able to like encapsulate it and then share it with the world. Even Wade and I, like we always are kicking ourselves in not sharing enough. Like there's so much we want to share. We just need more hours in the day, really. Yeah, it's special. And it inspires other relationships out there, you know, because like I don't know, bonding over something that you share in common. For Wade and I, it's creativity in general. And for you guys, it's so many different things. But I think that like that love of like what you're doing right now, like the channeling hallmark, like creating a vibe, creating an essence and a feeling of comfort is number one, something we all really need right now. But also just like the fact that you guys both feel that, you both love it and are bringing it all together to share it with the world is really, really rad.
Oh, thank you. You actually made me think of something though, in terms of, you know, you guys do, and as content creators, you guys share so much of yourself with the world, with your fans, and I know that's something that brings you both so much joy. But how do you draw the line, and when do you draw the line of, hey, like this is just for me? Especially as an artist, I feel like sometimes as artists, we just create to give rather than ever to just create for ourselves. So how do you draw that line, and do you draw a hard and fast line, or is it just a feeling that you have?
That's such a good question. I think it evolves. I think it changes with time. I think there are times when I feel like I want to share a little bit less. And there are times where I'm just such an open book, and it is really natural for Wade and I to share so much because we've just been doing it a long time. And we were doing it before there were as many people in our community as there are now. So it's more comfortable for us. But there are definitely times, like I remember when Chance passed away, like I couldn't function. I was like so heartbroken by that like Wade had to step up and like pick up the slack. He was doing work projects. I like backed out of work. I was like, I receded, and I needed time to process that and move through that in my own way. And it changes with time, you know. For the most part, we're really comfortable sharing everything because we see our community like our family, you know, like we've invited people into our lives, and it's always a pro and con, right? There are multiple sides to that. But for the most part, I think it's refreshing to see authenticity and to just see like raw, real life. And that's why we all love connecting with other people, is like we're interested in other people's lives. And Wade and I just try to show ourselves like we're not different on camera than we are in person. We're the same people, you know? So we try to just be honestly ourselves and really authentic in that process. And it's been a really special experience. Like I wouldn't change it for the world. Like it's a family, it's a whole community. So it means a lot to us, and we love sharing in that way. But you're right. Like with art, it's sometimes for me, like a process of just doing my makeup just to do it because I love it in the morning and not filming and capturing everything. There needs to be a balance to be able to continue doing it for the long haul, right?
Yeah, no, for sure.
Throughout all of your work that you have done, whether it's, you know, something that you are just putting on TikTok or Instagram, or if it's like a brand integration that you're working on, you have kind of always had that core message of different is dope in that. And I think that's so cool that even like oftentimes people think of, you know, if you're working with a brand and doing marketing with them, you have to just do what they want or kind of fall in line to their brand. But you have been able to preserve your own identity and your own message throughout that, which I think is really admirable, but also probably really hard at times. So I'm curious how you have navigated that throughout your career always being so focused on a message that you believe in and doing a really effective job at communicating that message.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that. It's very reaffirming for me to hear that, because I'm always wondering if it's loud enough. And that's usually my challenge, as opposed to Wade, who he has no problem being loud. My biggest challenge is being loud enough. I feel like sometimes I'm speaking so loud and I'm really whispering, So I think it's just my nature and my demeanor, but I always think I'm being louder than I am. So I'm so happy to hear that it's resonating and then you pick that up, because I'm working really hard to be louder about it, because it's so important, because it means so much to me. And I think that, when it comes to working with brands and having partners over time, they have come to learn that about me. Like if it doesn't authentically fit, it's not worth it for me. I don't know what would be worth it for me, because it's kind of what we were just talking about in building a community online. Is like, I've had so many heart-to-heart conversations with my community, with people. I've met them in person. We've cried together. We've held each other. I have been on FaceTime with a girl as she was shaving her head while I was coaching her through it. Like, we have had so many experiences together over years. So for me to be inauthentic and promoting some product I don't believe in is so against my morals, and just feels so wrong and icky. And I'm not here to influence anyone to buy anything. If it happens to fit into my brand ethos and what I believe in, and if it's colorful and weird and represents the same things I believe in, great. I will get creative around it. But that's how I choose to see every partnership, is can it be artful? Can it be woven into what I'm already doing? And is it authentic? Does it really fit? That's really important to me. And I can't see it any other way. It wouldn't feel natural to me. And I'm not out here trying to create some huge, multi-billion-dollar company that's not me. I just don't care about those things. So I really want to create better humans in the world, and hopefully create a safe space on the internet that people feel like they can be comfortable. That's what I'm here for. And that's what I'm working to build. So if it fits into that, then we can talk about it. It's how I approach it. And you'd be surprised how many brands are really supportive of that, actually. And I think it's taken me time and years and experience to learn that the more firm you are with your expectations and what you stand for, the more people respect it and the more people admire that, rather than forcing their own ideologies down your throat or their own brand messaging like that. Most brands are run by really amazing people, and I only work with those brands. So yeah, I've been lucky also over the years to be able to be selective and to kind of cultivate a community of partners that really support me as an artist. That's how we're working together, so yeah, I'm really lucky that society has evolved in that way too. So different for artists, back in the day when we didn't have places like the internet to share our work and to put it out there for hundreds and thousands and maybe millions of people to see. That was never an option. So I just feel grateful to be alive in this day and age, and to be able to be building a movement that is Different is Dope around my artistry, and simultaneously with my artistry, because they go hand in hand, that message of Different is Dope and what it means for people is directly connected to all of my work. So they live together and kind of are growing and evolving together. It's been really cool to see it change over time.
It's cool because you walk the walk, you talk the talk, and I feel like you then share so much of yourself, because the community that you have created is trying to do the same thing and trying to meet you at that level. So it feels like you've made the internet feel like a safe space. It's usually such a scary space, but the more I'm talking with you and hearing kind of you're just doing it naturally. And I feel like there's obviously a lot of hard work, obviously a ton of talent that has gone into you building your brand, you building kind of your presence online, but you just do it naturally. And I feel like it would have happened eventually regardless, just because who you are as a human being, which is so amazing and wild to me, because it's just when you meet somebody, you're just meant to be where you are doing what you're doing. like the universe is just like, yes, of course, put this person on this pedestal so they can do it. Like, and I don't feel like there's very many influencers who are like that.
Oh, that means so much to hear. That is so kind of you to say. And my only response is I don't know how to be anything other than myself. That's all I'm trying to do. And I hope to encourage other people to realize they have that within them. Like we all have that within them. It is truly only through like the influences of other people telling you what you need to be like, or like society standards and all this other noise that gets in the way of that. But like we are all in line with like our own path and moving through the world in the way that we should be, as long as you know yourself, like as long as you know at the end of the day, like what you stand for, what you believe in, and you hang on to those values for dear life. I mean it. Like it's so important. And I'm really fortunate that I had parents who taught me that. You know, I grew up in a place where that was important, and you did take care of your neighbors, and if they needed something, you showed up for them. And that's just how we should be treating people as humans, right?
Absolutely.
That's all it is. Like it's not anything other than that. And I think that if people just like prioritize that instead of other things, sometimes like society, it sounds so cheesy again. I mean, cheesy tonight, but it sounds cheesy. But if society like prioritized those things and like taking care of each other, it all seems like it would be a little bit easier for us, right? Like we would have support and we would feel included and we would lift each other up rather than tearing each other down. And it seems simple to me. And yet we're in this society where it feels hard. It feels really hard at times, but I really appreciate you saying that, because I've had such a hard and interesting relationship with this space. Like even being put in the influencer category because I have community online is a strange thing for me, because that's not what I set out to do. It has evolved organically over time, but that was never my goal. My goal was to be an artist, and it was to like push myself and be the best makeup artist I could be, and hopefully like share that with other people. And over time it has turned into a business, which is strange and weird in itself, but like that's how it's evolved. And at the same time, like I will always forever be me, and I will be working towards this mission until the day that I die. Like it's really, really important to me. And the older I get, the more I understand how important it is. The more I have interviews and I talk to people, and I'm realizing like, oh yeah, like the world needs this. The world needs Different is Dope, because it's just all it is a permission slip to be yourself, to be who you are, and to be unapologetic about that, like to your core, and to hold on to it for dear life, because the whole ride of our life is other people telling you what you shouldn't be, especially for women, but all of us. So I think it's really important to hold on to that, to hold on to what it is that makes you different and unique. And it's becoming hard to do that, but I will become as loud as I need to be over time to get that message through to people, because it means a lot to me.
The number of times I've gotten goosebumps, or like just felt so warm and and when goosebumps, to me, they're a little warm and cozy thing, because I think goosebumps are like, it's the thing that makes you want to like hug yourself a little bit. And the number of times I've gotten goosebumps just like talking to you, because like influencer, to me, it's always felt like an inauthentic term, but you are the most authentic person I might know. Like truly, like it's such a weird juxtaposition.
I think by nature that job is inauthentic for a lot of people, because like we're not all salespeople. Like that's not who we are. Like what do you do? What do you do? What is your thing? What is your craft? What is your specialty? And I love social media, but we've created this society of people that just are also reaching for fame. They're reaching for other things. They're reaching for acknowledgement and self-fulfillment that comes from the validation of other people. That's never what I set out for. I don't think I never needed that. That wasn't my objective ever. It was always to like share my experience and hopefully heal in the process and become a great makeup artist. That was my objective. And over time it has evolved into a business that I can feed our family with, which is fucking great. But it was never the way that I see the industry. And it's also, I don't know if you want to leave this out or in, but it was a big reason of leaving LA too, because I love Los Angeles for all that it's inspired us with. And at the same time, zooming out and even being here now for a little bit is like, whoa, I feel the most me I've ever felt. I don't feel as much pressure from all angles to be and to move quick and to think so sharply, and like I can exist a little easier in a different environment. It's really interesting. But I think there is so much negativity in that influencery space, because you're just constantly, your job becomes comparative. Like it becomes this analysis of analytics and statistics and reporting back, and like you're a salesperson, and some people are great fucking sales people. It's not me. Like it's one of my challenges is like, how do I communicate effectively and get this message out and package it in a way that people understand? I never know if it's working. Like I feel like I have so much work to do on that end of it. It's not my strong suit, but I'm trying to get it out there. You know what I mean?
You're getting it out there. Hey, again, it's you're doing it just naturally being yourself. And I hope more people who go down this route of, influencer learn from people like you, who it's like, if you are just so authentically yourself, the community will find you. And if you are kind and it's like that energy attracts energy, right? You put so much positive energy out into the world. It's karma. How can that not come back in whatever form it does come back in?
Yes. And I think it's sharing and contributing to the world, rather than just like putting yourself out there and looking at your like count. Like that what does that do for people? Like I'm not trying to be judgmental, but like, what is putting like an outfit pic and like, I don't know what that does. And part of it can be artful. It can be artful in some ways, but like, I also feel like as a society, we've just moved towards like seeking so much validation from other people that it becomes about that and not about what you're actually contributing, what you're doing to give back, or what you're doing to like help other people. Like we all have so much that we could be doing to lift other people up and contributing to like it sounds so hippy, but like the greater good, like really the greater good, like helping each other. And I learned that lesson like so strongly this past year in March when I went to Ireland, and I met Alyssa, and we like had that experience, and she was like, I'm going to take off my hat. And I was like, oh my God, like, this is it. This is it. I need to be having these experiences with people. I need to be contributing more. I need to give back more. I have all this knowledge and all of this confidence I've built up over the years. I don't even think about being bald sometimes. Like, and here are kids that need it. Like, this is what it is. It's not about like selling ad spots on my social media. It's not about that. Like, that will still happen because it's part of the business, but like, that's not my purpose. That's not
the why.
That's not my why. And that shift was huge for me, because it was a fucking slap in the face of like a lesson that the universe was just like, you need to be helping people more. Like, do that. That's all you need to do. And so now I've shifted my focus from being like, yes, create good art, of course, but first and foremost, find ways to help people. Number one. And if that is the focus, like, good art comes from that, and impactful moments come from that, and it's all intertwined. But I think having like a really strong center, like a really strong reason of why you're doing something and how it's helping people is super important. And a lot of people have the tools to find that. It takes time. I think it takes time, and it's humbling, because it's not just about you. It's not just about like what you're doing and what you're putting out or what you're blabbing about. Like, how can you involve other people in that, and how can you give them something? And that, I think, like, if social media involved more of that, influencers would be even more successful. Like, if they just leaned into things that are good, like spoke up about things that matter, like talk about the environment, talk about what's right and wrong. But people are so scared to do that because we're concerned of like how we're seen online, and it's this magnifying glass on your whole life and everything you put out. But it's super important. And stepping away from LA has only made that vision like clearer for me,
I love that.
Anyways, I'm going off now.
No,
Sorry.
if anyone is listening who is feeling very inspired by your message, in particular, like the idea of different is dope, is there somewhere that they can go or something that they can do in their life to, also help to similarly try to make the world a better place?
Yes, absolutely. Yes. There's always something you can do. I think it depends what you do. What are you passionate about? What is your strong suit? Is it podcasting? Is it writing? Is it like, what is it? Are you a great connector for other people? Like, see how you can help connect people. Whatever our own skill sets are. And I'm big into meditation. I'm big into spirituality just because for me, it has really reintroduced me to myself over the years. I've gotten to know myself so much better by like quieting my mind and really going inward. It's been transformative for me. So I encourage people to do that and to really dial in what they want to contribute to the world. If it all ended tomorrow, that's ominous, but like if it did, what do you want your legacy to be? What do you want to be known as? Do you want to be known that you have like 10 million followers, or do you want to be known for what you contributed to other people? And how can you do that? So whether it's through art, whether it's through like positivity, and that's what I look up to my husband so much for. He's like so positive. He just wakes up on the right side of the bed, truly almost every day, almost. But like, like what is that thing for you? Is it joy? Is it spreading a cozy vibe? Is it making people feel comfortable? Is it through your art? What is it? We all have totally different skill sets and abilities to find that and then share it. And that is the good part of social media, is it's free and it's fun. Like, you can put it out there to the world, and you can share it with the world. You can uplift it. You never know how many people are going to see what you put out. And I'm sure you guys have seen that video that has gone around, or like, I think it was a meme at some point too, where it's like, if 10 people like your video and then they show a room of 10 people, if 100 people like it, and it's a room of 100 people, like, we forget that the numbers are actual humans. There's humans on the other side of that. So you never know if one person is impacted by something you say or something you put out, your impact is huge. And we underestimate that and we minimize it for ourselves, but it's really, really important. And I think that's, again, why I think it's our responsibility, if you have a voice, if you have a platform, to be speaking good into the world, positivity, something uplifting, something to impact someone else. And we all have that ability. So yes, like, please, if you take away anything from this, find that thing, find your own magic, what it is that makes you different, distill it down and bottle it, and then give it to everyone. Like that. What else are we here for, really? Like, yeah.
I got the goosey bumps again.
Yeah, if this mic were not so expensive, I would just drop it on your behalf.
Oh my gosh. I'm just blabbing. This is such a good conversation.
No, I know. I don't want it to end. Whew. I feel like I've gotten the warm and fuzzy so many times during this conversation and stuff. So for me to even ask you the question about hot cocoa you'd like to share is it feels silly.
Can you handle it? Do you need me to ask it?
Okay. Do you want to ask it? Well, do you want to explain what hot cocoa is so Abby knows what hot cocoa is?
So one thing we do on the show is, rather than spilling the tea, we sip the hot cocoa. We share things that we experienced or learned or saw that gave us a little bit of warm and fuzzy in our life. So oftentimes we ask our guests if they have any hot cocoa from their life that they want to share.
I have such a good hot cocoa, and I love this, by the way. I've made this tradition last forever. So good. Yeah. Okay. Recently, my hot cocoa was, I was out at this bike race with my husband, Wade. He was racing this bike race, and I set up every year to do face paint, and usually the kids flock to the face paint. But I had a mom that sat down and wanted her face painted. And she really, it seemed like she just needed a break. She needed to sit down and chat. And we just had like the most beautiful moment. And it just re-inspired me all over again that this mom wanted her face painted and wanted to like get back to this like childlike version of herself in the midst of like so much chaos. And she wanted her face painted. And it reminded me that like, we're all just like big kids, like we still want our face painted. And it just like, I don't know, it warmed my heart. And it was a nice break from like, I love the kids so much, but to have an older woman like sit down in my chair and want something so simple as face paint, like it just super warmed my heart. And she was the kindest, most beautiful human from Colorado. So we had a really nice moment there.
Why is there an age limit on getting face painted? I don't know. There should not be.
I
Especially
know,
the
who
type of face
created
paint
that?
you do. It's incredible. Like, please, let me be your canvas.
Yes, but you'd be surprised. Like adults, we lose that somewhere along the way. Like a lot of adults do. So I think like I don't know. She inspired me to even like push the limits even more and to keep talking about that, because she just went for it. And it was like my only adult that I painted their face the whole weekend. So it was really, really, really sweet and warmed my heart for sure.
Well, if you have any projects coming up, things you'd
Yeah.
like to plug, this is a time to put that sales lady's hat on and
Yeah.
and hit
Yeah.
us with it.
If anyone wants to follow along with the movement online, my social media handles are just my name, Abby Wren with a W, and then artistry. So that's where I am online. Please join the family and follow along, because it's a good time. We got good people over there. It's the good little slice of the internet. And a project I'm working on right now is actually, we're releasing prints of all of my artwork. For the first time, I'm releasing like actual art, very artful prints of all my work. So it's a new project that my team has been working on for a long time. And I'm so excited to bring it to life, because, usually with makeup, I just wash it off and then it's gone. So we wanted to kind of create a way for the art to live on and to actually exist, maybe in a frame or, in a kid's room, and something to continue inspiring long after I've washed it off, or the little social media post goes by. So it's kind of taking my style of artistry to a new medium, and I'm really excited about it. So everything is on my website, which is attached to all my social media. So if you feel so inclined, buy some artwork.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
You guys look at her artwork. It's stunning. It's as bright as you are just within this conversation. That is the brightness of the artwork, and it will just bring you joy. So highly recommend. Check it out.
You guys are the best.
We'll link out to all of that in the show notes.
Yes.
And thank you again
Yes.
for coming on.
Hopefully,
Hopefully
thank you.
everyone remembers that different is dope.
Yeah.
That was the rest of our interview with Abby Wren. If you want to find more about Abby, we'll be sure to link out to her socials and her website on our show notes. And if you want to hear more Channeling Hallmark, make sure you subscribe. We're available on all of your favorite podcast platforms or other places, and we want to hear what you think. So leave a rating, review, subscribe, and maybe even comment if you're feeling a little bold.
Yeah, tell us what your hot cocoa was for the week. Also, follow us across all platforms on social media at Channeling Hallmark, Instagram, YouTube, Blue Sky. You can also follow our individual accounts at Keetin Markey and at DP Cashball.
Next week, we'll be back to our regular structure and regularly scheduled programming. But in the meantime, don't forget to channel Hallmark in your life.
Stay cozy, y'all. Bye-bye.
Channeling Hallmark is an independently produced podcast and is neither sponsored nor sanctioned by Hallmark or any other entity. Thank you for listening.